and cap team, and he's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's done all kinds of stuff. Now he's in drugs.
Yeah. All right, welcome. Let's go ahead and get started. Are we recording, Jamie?
Yep.
Thanks. So we are on the record today for a work session. Today is October 31, 2024. Again, happy Halloween. We're here to discuss AM 860-2024 Executive Appointment Confirmation Hearing, Melisa Babb, Planning Director. We'll do introductions first. Mr. Littlefield.
Mark Littlefield.
Karen Bronga.
Scott Myers.
Anna Brawley.
Daniel Bullen.
Christopher Constant on the phone. Looks like we just have Mr. Rivera.
Present.
Thank you. Anyone else on the phone? All right, so that's it, but we do have with us Becky Wynn-Pearson, Melisa Babb. Ms. Wynn-Pearson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the Assembly. It's my pleasure to be back to introduce Melisa Babb for confirmation as Planning Director. Melisa is a land use planner and landscape architect with site design and project management experience from across Alaska. Her work includes master planning efforts for new communities and city parks, site planning for military facilities and public institutions, regulatory code compliance reviews, complex land conservation transactions, test fit analyses for pro forma development evaluations, and zoning code audits. Her expertise extends from drafting ordinances, easements, and deeds for land acquisition projects and writing variance requests. She has written project reports for various MOA commissions, and she has collaborated with the PM&E department and the planning department on both Mass and Title 21 zoning ordinance updates in the past. Melisa is passionate about Anchorage. She's excited to use her strengths and talents to benefit our community and for its future growth. And I would say, in her own words, Melisa recognizes that Title 21 is the basic DNA for our urban environment. Everything built in Anchorage conforms to the same code. Title 21 needs to be updated to face the new and unique challenges of the last few years, and she's excited and honored to use a particular set of skills to address those puzzles, to craft code changes that work for the community as a whole. I'm pleased to be here today to present her as our candidate for Planning Director, and we strongly encourage you to confirm her. Thank you.
Ms. Babb.
Through the chair and to the rest of the assembly, it is a massive honor to be sitting here today before you. And like Becky just said, it's a privilege to think that my set of skills might be useful to the community. And I just appreciate your consideration in my appointment.
Thank you. Mr. Mullen, you have a question.
Yes, thank you for being here, Melisa. Personally, I'm excited about your name being brought forward just because I know that you've worked on a lot of projects and have, consulted for the planning department. So I think you bring a great level of experience. I think it is no great secret that the relationship between the planning department and the Anchorage Assembly could use some improving. And I'm curious your thoughts about how we can facilitate better communication and collaboration on projects, even when there are maybe differences of opinion on best path forward or on policy. In my own experience, it has been interesting to see, for instance, the Planning and Zoning Commission process and to have partook in that myself a couple times on a couple different projects, and to think that one set of recommendations was maybe going to come forward, and then later see a memo from the department with a different set of recommendations, and sometimes feel a little bit caught off guard by that. So, yeah, what can we do to establish a more collaborative relationship?
Through the chair to Mr. Boland, I think that the best way forward will be collaboration and streamlining the communication between the two bodies. I think that if you just would be willing to give me a call, and I can start working with you on improving those things. I do have some plans in regards to the internal assignment of different people who might be interfacing with the assembly and with different groups in the municipality regarding Title 21 changes. I am going to potentially form a group of people who will be addressing Title 21 changes specifically. They will be responsible for those changes that you bring forward to us to streamline that process, and they'll be reporting directly to me, and we'll be collaborating with you on those processes in the future. I think that pretty much covers
Yeah,
it.
great. I appreciate that. And I would just say, I think there's a lot of potential. Thanks.
Thanks.
Ms. Brawley.
Thank you. Also, great to see a constituent here. And I am excited to see you in this role. We have worked together for a long time on the Turnagain Community Council Land Use Committee. So I know you've been deeply embedded in community planning issues for a while. My questions are kind of one internal facing, one external facing. The first one is, and I asked Ms. Kohlhaas, sorry, who we had a confirmation hearing for earlier. We know there's a lot of kind of changing assumptions or rethinking practices in the planning profession generally. And I also know it's really important for our staff and our professionals to stay engaged with that. And I know it's been a challenge. Professional development budgets have been cut, travel's been cut over the years. So just wondering what your thoughts are on how to kind of help staff maintain that exposure to the kind of best and emerging practices. So that's the internal question. And then external, a big part of planning is public engagement. And so just wondering what your kind of general maybe philosophy or thoughts about how the department can really engage in that public engagement function going forward. Thanks.
Sure. Through the chair to Member Brawley, I think the first, in regards to the internal development of the staff, I would like to encourage staff to be more active in participating in APA conferences, staying educated. There's continuing education requirements for licensing for landscape architects, and there, I believe, are similar requirements for an AICP license or a certificate, and just making sure that everyone is up to date on those education goals, and also providing what education experiences I can actually accomplish with the budget, but also supporting a culture in the department that encourages a lot of conversation and discussion of these newer philosophies, planning philosophies, and how those might be applied locally. Regarding the external question, we, of course, have a good system in place for public processes and feedback. The Planning and Zoning Commission, the UDC, and the community councils. So working with those commissions to ensure that they and the public, the community councils, are getting the information that they need in order to make the decisions that they need to make, and to give educated feedback on projects, but also hopefully expand our reach a little bit to those communities that are not generally represented in some of the community council circles. Reach out to local organizations like, for instance, the Housing Club or the YMCA, or other organizations in town that might include folks who just don't have time to attend commission or community council meetings. So make that just part of a regular project process.
Thank you.
Others? Karen?
This is maybe not a large part of your new position, but I noticed easements mentioned a lot in the Great Land Trust. And it makes me think of a lot of the easement issues that we're having in town related to access on parkland. So maybe if you could talk to me a little bit about that. I think the other is Campbell Lake is another big one that jumps out at me. But it kind of falls into the not in my backyard. Whereas, I've been engaging with a group in Austin, Texas, that it took them many, many tries to find a place to put a tiny little home complex, because the neighbors were all outraged. And I think it's similar here in Anchorage, that everybody's very loud about development. So how could you, what do you think you could do to help with the easement issues and perhaps the NIMBYism or and get us to yes in my backyard?
That's through the chair to Member Bronga. I think that's a pretty complicated question. And there are a lot of aspects to that. I'd like to clarify first that the easements that I worked on at Great Land Trust were very, very different from the type of easement that you're talking about with the access issues and things like that. They're completely different animals in a lot of ways. I believe that a lot of the easement issues that we're having in regards to access would probably fall mostly to legal department to deal with. But there are easements in Title 21, stream setback easements and things like that. So just making sure that those are serving the community the way that they need to serve the community in all of the different varied ways that easements do that. And then in regards to the NIMBYism, not in my backyard aspect of your question, I feel like a lot of what is considered NIMBYism is just uncertainty. People have, expectations when they purchase their house, and or their property, and they like to know what is going to happen in the future. And if changes start happening and they happen fast and they don't know what that change is going to look like, it can feel pretty threatening. So I believe that education is a great tool in dealing with that sort of reflexive reaction to change. And I hope that the planning department can take part in educating the community about what those changes might look like.
Thank you.
Mr. Boland again.
Thank you. I actually really appreciate the question that Karen brought up on the topic of easements. I think the other access issue that we could call out would be the Stewart Trail. There was, so the Assembly actually passed multiple resolutions on the Transportation Improvement Program to do mapping of easements. It was not supported by the prior administration, and I think also AMAT staff, who is under the planning department, had some concerns about their own capacity to do that and how large of a project that could be. But that was something that we heard support from community members on. It was brought forward by then, and we passed 2 resolutions to try to amend the TIP to do that, so we could have ArcGIS mapping of easements, and so that is something where I think the planning department could be involved. So I feel like there's a little bit of a path forward there. Just I guess wanted to provide that extra context. Thanks.
I do think there was some funding made available for that. I don't know what happened to it, but I've talked a few times with the administration, recorded and unrecorded easements.
Okay.
So there's some legal peril there, but it's a very interesting question that we need to get to the bottom of. Other questions? Anyone else? So this is not a spicy confirmation work session. The work will be spicy, I think, because the trajectory has been, and I look forward to it becoming collaborative and kind of a unified effort where everybody's working with each other. So if there's no other questions, we can be done. Look forward to this. I believe it's on the agenda on Wednesday, and so thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be adjourned. I think we have one more meeting today. That meeting starts at 2:10, so got about 20 minutes.